Welcome to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. I'm Tori Mystic, here with my dog Lucy. Together, we're interviewing cool, creative women entrepreneurs whose work is inspired by their dogs. Do you dream of working alongside your dog? Then sit, stay, and listen to the latest episode. On this episode, we get into the details of how to create a dog accessories brand, from coming up with a concept and identifying your customer to finding manufacturers and wholesale accounts. At a startup, you have to wear many hats, so listen to find out how this entrepreneur handles it all. Wolfpack NYC was founded by Australian native Hayley Whitfield and was fueled by her desire to create a beautiful winter coat for her mini-poodle, Rosa. Hayley is based in New York and was a management consultant by trade, but then she decided to leave her corporate gig to start a business manufacturing high-end fashion for dogs. Hayley didn't have any experience in product design or manufacturing, but she was just so taken by New York's entrepreneurial energy and the buzz of its garment district, so she figured she'd give it a go. Fast forward 18 months, and she has now launched a collection of Italian luxury leather dog coats and accessories, selling online and through partners across the globe. Welcome, Hayley.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Thanks for being on the show. I'm really excited to hear about your business, and it's interesting that you don't have much of a background in dog stuff, and you just decided to kind of take a leap.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've always had an interest in materials and different fabrics, so something that I've always loved, but I'd never had a project to really apply it to. So being able to do that with my dog here in New York in the cold winter has been, a passion project that's really grown into a business.
So what was your corporate job that you held before you started pursuing this?
So I was in management consulting. So I did professional services to kind of large organizations, and my clients were in different industries. So telecommunications, government, healthcare, financial services. So a range of different things. But, my role was focused on organizations, how people work together and how they can get their role done better through different processes. So not really about product design or fashion or, the pet industry altogether. So it's something very fresh and very different for me.
So what was the biggest challenge? Maybe you decided to take this leap and you thought it'd be fun, and then you realized, oh, gosh.
Well, for me, I think it was going from being very good at one thing. So my career before that was sort of 8 years working as a management consultant and refining how I do that really well. And then doing a startup was like trying to do all of the functions at once, like taking on 15 new jobs at once, and basically accepting that I'm not an expert at anything anymore, but I'm really quite terrible at everything I do. And so every day just kind of getting used to being not a perfectionist and accepting where I am and slowly iterating was, kind of learning how to do that was probably the biggest process. And, my dog Rosa was very good at helping me not sweat it, really. She's got really simple values. She's really happy. You throw a ball to her and her world is just set on fire. So, I'd look at her and go, oh, well, she's not freaking out, so who cares, really?
That's so wonderful. I love that. I'm always inspired by Lucy and just how every time we walk out the door, she doesn't know if we're going on a road trip to Vermont or if we're going to the vet, but she's excited every single time we walk outside. So I think that our dogs are so inspiring. I was wondering now that you have to do everything at a startup, and many of us who are solopreneurs, we're everything. We're the accountant, the designer, the marketing person, human resources. Did you discover one of those roles that you were surprisingly good at?
Oh, God, no, not at all. I think I'm kind of terrible at all of them, to be honest. But I think I'm getting better at each one. And I'm definitely getting better at learning what's required for each one. And with that comes a sense of confidence. So there's definitely some things I'll never be really fabulous at and that I would look to outsource as I get a little bit bigger. And But there's some things, yeah, I mean, the design aspect is really fun, and that process I love doing. So even though I'm not fabulous at it, I'll always, be quite hands-on in that area.
Right. Well, that was your passion that brought you to do this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about outsourcing, and I would imagine you do some level of outsourcing, like for the manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
What do you outsource, and how did you figure that out?
So at the moment, the only thing that I outsource is the manufacturing. So in terms of product design, sourcing, that's me kind of in research development. And then the manufacturing is done by a partner here in New York City. And then everything else from sort of selling online, wholesaling, branding and marketing, advertising, that's all me as well. So the manufacturing piece was difficult. I trialed 3 different factories before I was kind of comfortable with the partnership that I have. And the one I've got now is really fantastic because they're used to working with small businesses, so we can refine the product together. And since I'm still so young, it's very helpful to have them close by where I can learn as I go, in close proximity to them.
Right. So the other 3 that you worked with, were they in New York too?
One was in New York, one was in Italy, and another one that I first started with was in the UK.
Oh, wow. And so how did you find them? Was it word of mouth or just research?
Yeah, research really. I mean, the first few months of working on the business, everything was research. I had no idea how to make a pattern. I had no idea how to find materials. I had no idea, about how to find a manufacturer. So I talked to people in the industry who have manufactured in New York, and so I got some recommendations from them. I found another website that had lots of European manufacturers on it. And so because most of my materials come from Italy, it also makes sense to do the manufacturing there. So I had pulled out a couple of Italian ones from a website I found and kind of just started that negotiation process and sampling process with them. But yeah, I think right now the one I've got in New York, focuses on leather rather than dog products. And that's why I have landed with them. They've got that expertise. And I think that's kind of at the forefront of what I'm doing. I can manage the dog design aspect and they can manage, the leather and the production aspect.
Right. So your products are more of a high-end price point. It's a luxury dog accessories company.
Yes.
So how did you decide to go the luxury route?
Well, initially I wasn't thinking I was doing luxury. I believed that I was just creating something that was beautiful. And the intention was that the product would be long lasting. So not something that would just be one season and then thrown away. And that was the challenge that I had when I was buying items for my dog Rosa, is that they kind of break and fall apart and you love them for a short while and then you have to replace them. So, on this journey of trying to create something that was durable, that was long lasting and that had these materials that were quite substantial, I ended up in this luxury category by accident and didn't realize that I was going to be there. And then now that I am there, I understand the opportunity for it is quite high. It's an area that is underutilized at the moment in the marketplace. It's a customer that's fairly affluent, that's urban, that engages in a lot of premium pet services. And, in New York especially, that's somewhere, that I can appeal to that group.
Right. So I've always just been interested in fashion, and I've followed sort of the lack of activity of luxury fashion brands on social media. Typically, luxury fashion isn't great at social media, and obviously they're getting better every day with it, but they're sort of late adopters to that. And so I've never really thought about like the luxury fashion dog category. But how are you getting the word out to this affluent clientele that you're pursuing?
Yeah, so I think it's so far I've really just been experimenting with different sort of marketing strategies. I've spent the last 9 months kind of doing that testing, and now I'm sort of ready to focus my efforts for the next year going forward. But I've tried different things like working with magazines, social media in terms of creating that lifestyle imagery and putting it together, and then advertising through social media, particularly with Facebook. The demographic analysis that you can do can be quite targeted. So that has helped. And then also doing different events in New York that attract that clientele, and doing collaborations with other dog industry professionals that are already associated with that particular group.
Running your own business isn't easy. There is so much to keep up with every day to let people know that you exist. Posting on social media can be really effective, but who has time to research all the latest algorithms and strategies to gain new followers and get them to your website? Based on everything I learned growing my Instagram presence for my own account, which is @tmystic, I created a new business called InstaMystic. I'm here to help you magically create positively engaging Instagram content, whether you're promoting your dog, your business, or yourself. You can learn more about how I can help you at torimystic.com. That's TORIMISTICK.com. And since you're a loyal podcast listener, I created a free bonus just for you. Get 24 of my go-to dog mom hashtags by visiting torimystic.com/dogmom. You can also find a direct link to this list in the show notes of this episode. Because I know there's some like really awesome dog boutiques in New York, and there's tons of charity events and stuff like that. What kind of events have you been trying out?
Yeah, I've mostly done ones that are associated with charity, and we have quite a crazy event that's on in February each year. That's the New York Dog pet fashion show. Ooh. And so that one gets quite a bit of media. I mean, it's a funny show to go to. It's a very funny show, but it's a full catwalk and evening gowns and kind of a funny, glamorous event.
So but do you plan on having Wolfpack walk the runway?
Yeah, we did last year. My dog Rosa went down wearing this kind of Bordeaux lambskin jacket. It had a big faux fur trim, and so she was on stage, which was kind of cool.
And then she walked down with a model?
She walked down with a model, but she was petrified, so she didn't walk and the model had to carry her instead. There were so many cameras going off in front of her, she didn't know what was going on. So she's not definitely the best model going forward. But
was there, I just am curious about the dog fashion show, was there a dress rehearsal or anything?
No. Okay. But luckily, a lot of the models that were participating in it were experienced and have done it before. So, they had it kind of together a lot more than we did.
And they were all in like evening gowns and kind of fancy outfits.
And each of the ladies, like each of the female models that was with the dogs coming down, they all represented like a different country of the world. So I think ours was Africa. So she was dressed up in an evening gown, but the colours were kind of strong colours to do with Africa. And another one was, Zimbabwe and China. And so they always have a fun theme to go with it.
That's really cool. As if there wasn't enough going on.
No, exactly. It's really wild. That
sounds so fun. I would love to come see that. So that's in February. Everyone can kind of mark their calendars and look that up online and go to New York for that. That sounds so fun.
Yes.
So what are some of the other challenges that you've experienced working for yourself? Because going from being in like an office environment where there's a hierarchy and there's more structure to being on your own, it can be hard. And so one of the things that we discussed before we started recording was how to celebrate your successes. So is there anything that you do to sort of reward yourself or, acknowledge the milestones that you've reached?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing because, most of the time there's not a lot of wins. They're few and far between. So every day, I kind of work in my apartment on my own. I've got 2 interns with me at the moment, which is fabulous. I've got some company. But generally I'm kind of just by myself and I'm with my own ideas and my own thoughts and, there's no direction. There's no manager there to tell you that you're going in the right way, that you're doing the right thing, and that even having that goal as a milestone and hitting it is even really a good thing at all. So there's not a lot of feedback. So I had to learn that it was kind of just my own perception that sort of drove whether things were doing well or not, and being comfortable with that. And it's a very uncertain place to be. But when I would hit, these milestones, and you'd work at it for such a long time, most of the things are long leads, it's almost an anticlimax when it arrives, because you've been thinking about it for so long, and in the back of your mind you've come up with new goals to work towards as well. So that goal becomes a bit of a check in the box and an anticlimax, and jump into the next thing instead. So it's really important, I have learned, to stop and take the time to reflect on where I've been, in the last 3 months or the last 6 months or the last 12 months. Because when I think back to even the person that I was 6 months ago, and the perceptions that I had and what I thought was scary and difficult, they're totally different today. And so hitting those goals is really changing the way that I kind of perceive myself and perceive where I'm going. And so for me, I like to travel, I like to take vacations, and generally it's in that time that I take the opportunity to stop and reflect and see where I've come.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's so hard for all of us to live in the moment because, like you said, like once you hit one goal, everyone's like, what's next?
What
are you going to do next? What's the next thing? And you kind of have to take a moment to say, hey, this is really awesome what I just did. Like, I bet for you the first time that you got a sample of one of your products, like, I mean, that's a huge milestone. And
huge. But
it's also stressful because you're like, maybe the stitching wasn't right here or then, so you're always like trying to make it better. So it is kind of a never ending cycle.
It is. It's a never ending cycle. And, there's so many iterations and refinements, like you say. As soon as you get one thing made, it's like, okay, that's totally fantastic, but this is what I need to do next, and this is what I need to do next, because, working on a passion project means that your mind never stops.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes and goes and goes. So there's never enough hours in the day to be able to get it all done, but it's a wonderful thing to be doing. And I'm really lucky and fortunate that I've been able to.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds really exciting. So tell everyone who's not familiar with Wolfpack sort of what your key products are.
Okay, so the core product is a winter dog coat. And that came about from me moving from Australia, from, sunny Sydney into New York, into a very cold winter with my dog, and looking for a beautiful jacket for her to wear, and something that's really warm and really durable. And I've tried to design something that meets that expectation. So the coat is a leather coat. It has a big faux fur trim. The leather is from Italy. The hardware is bespoke from Italy. It's something that you would keep from a long time and kind of fall in love with. Mm-hmm. It's timeless in its aesthetic. And so it's a real kind of statement piece. And then supporting that, I have accessories. So dog leads and harnesses, and we're about to introduce collars as well. And so they are all in the same matching leathers. So it's kind of a nice colorway, theme that goes together.
Yeah, and are the colors that you're thinking of, I'm sure they're kind of like current, what's in style, what's in fashion?
Yeah, you know what? They're a little bit more, they're a bit more timeless than they are seasonal. So they're kind of just sophisticated color palettes that will last several seasons, I think. And that's always been the intent. It hasn't been something that is necessarily in fashion. So I do like a deep rose color, a soft cloudy grey, a nice deep Bordeaux, an olive, and we're about to introduce a matte black, which is really exciting too.
Yeah, black goes with everything. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think a good high quality leather leash can last your whole dog's life and into the next dog. I had a really great leather leash that I had with my old dog that just broke like last year or something like that. I had it for like 15 years.
Oh,
so
yes.
there are just, it might be a slight investment, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Look, they're definitely pieces that last a really long time. And I mean, there's parts of me that, like, I love to go to H&M and Zara and buy beautiful fashion pieces, and I have a lot of fun wearing them. And then I might go and buy something that is an investment and is long lasting. And I think those two ideas complement. They're not in competition with one another. It's nice to have both in your life.
Yeah, it's a very modern take on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone could combine like a fun novelty holiday collar with one of your leashes or a jacket or something, and they can mix and match.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have some interns working with you, and I think that everyone who's listening might be interested, since they're probably struggling with their own hustle, how you found some interns and what do you have them do for you?
So I have 2 interns at the moment, and they are here with me for 3 months. One of them is full-time. She comes 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and the other one comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the day. And I found them on a website called internships.com, where you kind of post a job ad and different students so it's usually either students at the end of their university degree or those that have just graduated that are looking to build a portfolio for themselves. They're generally the ones that reply. And so mine was around, I wanted some copywriting, some creative ideas. And so I interviewed maybe 5 or 6 candidates for the roles. And I've got 2 really great girls that come in. So we've been working on some marketing, some advertising, doing a brand book, really refining the language, the tone of voice that we want to have going forward. So not only do they create content that I can post in the immediate, but we're also working on more foundational pieces as well.
Right, like a long-term kind of brand identity marketing
plan. Yeah, and, I had a bit of an idea of that by myself anyway, that I had created 12 months ago, but it's just so much better working with someone, saying it out loud as you're going and brainstorming the ideas and throwing them up in the air against one another. That has been just such an invaluable process for me.
Right, and just to get someone else's eyes looking at something.
Absolutely.
Other than Rosa, because Rosa probably has a really great sense of style and an opinion, but she can't vocalize it.
No, she doesn't share it with me. And, and there's only so much that my husband can take listening about my business and providing any response. So it's really nice to have someone, working together as a team. And, it's great being a small business, but that would be something in the future that would be amazing, to work in a small team permanently.
Yeah. One other thing that I'm curious about, when I read your bio, you'd mentioned that you work with some partners across the globe. And so I'm assuming that that's like retail partners.
Yes.
So how did you figure that out, that part of the puzzle?
Well, initially that was my strategy, was just to wholesale. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to have as much focus on kind of doing the e-commerce and learning about digital marketing and that kind of thing too much, whereas by accident I've had to fall into that and learn a whole new realm as well. But so the wholesaling piece, I had reached out to a few online stores to start with and a few boutiques kind of here in the city, and I didn't get a lot of traction, but the one online store that I really wanted, I built a great relationship with, and that's Hugo and Otto, based in the UK. So they sell sort of in the UK and Europe, and she, the owner of Hugo and Otto, she's been a great partner to me, and she's got relationships in marketing in the UK as well. So we've been able to work together on that, which has been a great learning for me, really. And in addition to that, I've had a couple of other people reach out to me that's kind of taken traction as well. So we're also wholesaling with a company in China that do a luxury daycare center in Shanghai. So
doggy daycare.
Doggy daycare. But it's like doggy daycare on steroids, I think. They've got like a big swimming pool in there so that the dogs get lots of exercise. And
wow.
I think they've put a lot of money into it. So it's really fabulous to partner with someone that's targeting the same segment of the market as me, as well.
Exactly. And so are your orders kind of how fashion is? Like there's like seasons, or do people just order on a rolling basis?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 seasons, the summer and the winter, really, rather than the 4 seasons that it can be with the regular fashion, the fashion calendar. But because I'm so small, I can also do special orders. So I can do custom pieces and custom colours, which is something that, you know, I get really excited about. And when I'm working with an account that wants to create something that's different to my existing collection, I mean, that's really fun. That's, you know, that's more fun than just working on my own collection, really. That's the evolution of the business. So that's been good too.
That's very exciting. So let's get back to Rosa, because she is your inspiration behind everything. So tell us about her. She's a mini poodle.
She's a mini poodle, and she's a mini poodle. I'm looking at her right now. She's sitting on the sofa looking very annoyed at me because, you know, I spend most of my time sitting in front of my computer and not walking her. And I like to tell her that she doesn't know how good she's got it because I'm here all day with her every day, and, you know, other dogs in the building are by themselves. Exactly. She doesn't seem to appreciate it. But, yeah, so she's a mini poodle. She's 4.5 years old. She is the most intelligent dog that I've ever met. I've never really had a dog that I didn't know that dogs could possibly be that smart, to be honest. I grew up with big, beautiful Labradors. And so living in an apartment now, the poodle was the choice that we selected because she doesn't shed, and so it's kind of easy to be around. But she's just so incredibly smart, perceptive. She can pick up on emotion and people around her and how she's supposed to behave. So she's great. We travel off leash together. She's just so easy to rely upon.
What would you say is a quality that you two have in common?
Oh, I think we're both curious. I think we both follow our curiosity. So, but but we're quite careful to not overstep the mark at the same time. I think we both have that really well.
You want to know more, but you want to make sure you're going to like it first.
Yeah. We want to make sure we go about it the right way. But yeah, I think it's that sense of intrigue and curiosity.
That's awesome. Well, she sounds like a wonderful business partner for you.
Yes. Yeah, she is indeed. She's my business partner, my inspiration. She is, you know, the most amazing thing to open the door to when I come home from anywhere at any time. She just fills my entire heart with so much satisfaction I can't even begin to describe.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone can find photos of her on your social media, right?
Yes.
So tell everyone where they can find your website and where's the best place to find you on social media.
Okay, so my website is wolfpacknyc.com, and our Instagram is urban_wolfpack. And from there you can kind of see our Facebook and Twitter as well, but Instagram and the website are kind of our primary channels.
So everyone head over there and say hi to Hayley and Rosa and give them a little like. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It was really awesome. Thanks for giving us an insider look at, you know, the behind the scenes of your business. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for giving us the time to do so. This is really cool. So thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting. All these dog moms doing awesome things.
Oh, yes. Go the dog moms.
Thank you for listening to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. You can fetch show notes for this episode at wearwagrepeat.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And until next time, Lucy and I will see you around the dog park.